Okay, looks like we have 22. That's pretty close. So I was counting on about 24 folks. So first of all, thank you all for joining us for a quick discussion today about a opportunity that has popped up about a building that may be a place that we can use to create a community maker space. So what I've done is I tried to put together just a quick couple of slides to kind of guide us through the conversation. I've got a couple of folks here who are going to share some additional information about the space and also about a makerspace in another community. And then we're going to answer a lot of the questions that you all posed, work through that. But let's go ahead and just kind of walk through some slides here, tell you kind of what's going on. But I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's find out exactly who we have on here. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to do this quickly because I'm really interested about what brought you here. And I'll do it by name. I'll do a call out by name. First of all, your name, who you're with, and then curious, just quickly, one quick couple of words statement that explain why you are here today. So let me go ahead and stop my sharing here so that you can get your gallery view back here. And let's start with first one on my list, which means she's probably the first one to log in, is Cindy Fry. Cindy Fry, you want to get us started?
Sure. Hi, I'm Cindy Fry. I'm with the Chamber of Commerce, and we've been interested in supporting innovation and entrepreneurship for quite a while now. And we've been in several conversations about whether Columbus could support a makerspace. So I'm excited that so many other people are interested as well.
Yeah, more people are bouncing in just as we're doing introductions. So that's great. Rick Johnson, you want to go next?
Sure. Rick Johnson with Johnson Ventures here in Columbus. And I worked with the Velocities group, so I'm interested from that perspective, but also just thinking about the campus area there, the airport campus, and trying to learn more about what might be going on there that the community can share.
Great. Thank you, Rick. Dave Glass, I see you're here with us.
Yep, Dave Glass, CEO of LHP Engineering Solutions, and also a member of the Velocity Board. So, yeah, definitely excited and participating. Anything I can do to keep the entrepreneurship culture moving forward in Columbus and Bloomington.
Great,
so.
Thank you, sir. Antonina. Oh, she's on the phone. We'll come back to you, Antonina. Nope, she's back on the phone. No, she's off the phone. We'll come back. And I'm going to use the name that's up here. So if I speak your name, let me know. Apple Muncie.
Hi, I'm Apple Muncie. Spend part of my time in Bloomington. So I'm a member of Blooming Labs, a makerspace over here in Bloomington. But I also spend a fair amount of time over in the Columbus area, up in Taylorsville. And so I'd like to see an opportunity in Columbus to spend my time in a makerspace.
Great. Well, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Antonina, back to you. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm very sorry, everyone. I was talking to my faculty. It was an emergency call. My name Antonina Reis. I joined Columbus campus since September. And my previous role was a department chair at Lafayette campus. I worked for Ivy Tech for 20 years. I really enjoy my role. I love working with faculty and students. So Columbus, my new home.
We're happy to have you too. Thanks for being with us today. Let's see, Bob Schaffstall.
Good afternoon. I am Bob Schaffstall. I'm the membership director at the Columbus Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'll just kind of mirror Cindy's reasons for being on here. I'd just like to learn more about the space and see how it's going to possibly help the community and possibly our membership.
Great. Thank you, Bob. Brian Payne, who's going to be helping us a little bit later.
Yeah, Brian Payne, Airport Director for the Columbus Airport. The buildings that we're going to be talking about are airports owned. So hopefully we can get together.
Great. It's like a series of Brian's here. Brian Simpson.
Yeah, I'm Brian Simpson. I'm with Toyota Material Handling. I'm with the advanced R&D team there, and I've coached FIRST Robotics for several years, and I think this is a great opportunity for young people to be involved and get into some new tech.
Great, thanks for being here. Brian Horn. So it's 3 Brians so far.
Yeah, I work at the Cummins Tech Center and definitely interested from a hobby perspective, but have also done some entrepreneurial things in the past. So this helps support that.
Great. Good to have you. Where are you, Cy? I thought I saw you.
Yep. My
There he
name is
is.
Cy Minion. I'm the entrepreneur in residence for a partnership called Velocities, which is a partnership between Bloomington, Indiana, Columbus, Indiana, and Elevate Ventures. Interested in the space just from the entrepreneurial aspect for my job wise, and then just because I'm a geek on the other side. So
Perfect reason to be here. Good. Daniel Motz.
Hey everybody, I'm an engineer for Cummins Power Systems. I'm interested because I used to be a member of a makerspace in St. Louis called Tech Shop, and it was just a fabulous resource. We used to build open wheel formula cars there, as well as several other projects. Great time, awesome for hobbyists, and definitely a lot of a lot of opportunities for starting businesses and things like that. So
Great.
can't wait
We'll
to hear
look
about
forward
it.
to your experience at the other makerspace. That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Donald Perry.
Hello, my name is Donald Perry, also with Toyota Material Handling, and I'm a ham radio operator, general geek. So looking forward to having a place in Columbus where we can build things too big for my small area. So
Great. I know for a fact we didn't have another ham on here, so we'll have to hook you guys up a little bit later. Donna Zay.
Hi, I'm Donna Zay. I'm the Department Chair of Business at Ivy Tech, and I am definitely here for my entrepreneur students.
Great. Thank you. Donald Perry.
I just went.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. This is why it gets confusing. Everybody's bumping around. Donna Zay, but Eric Perry. There you go. That's what was messing me up. Or is it Peary? I think it's Peary, not Perry.
It's Peary. I'm also with Toyota Material Handling, part of the Controls and Innovation group down here. So I've got an interest from a personal standpoint, from hobby aspects, but also got 3 kids in the school systems, so some opportunities there, as well as the entrepreneurship and some other things were mentioned here. So just curious to see what this opportunity is.
Good. Thanks for being here. Jamie Copeland.
Let's get unmuted there. Hey, I'm Jamie Copeland. I am, let's see, I guess we just moved up to Columbus. My wife and I think around May or so, lived in Louisville, Kentucky for about 10 years or 9 years before that. So I was a kind of an early on member of Level 1 down there. So just more from the hobbyist perspective, but anxious to see if I can help out, get things rolling up here.
Yeah, and I'll be coming back to Jamie a little bit later, talk about Level 1 a bit. So thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
John Myers.
Hello, I'm John Myers. I'm with the Indiana Small Business Development Center, and we're a free service that helps businesses get started and helps businesses expand. And I'm interested because I've worked with several startups over the years that could have benefited from this kind of space.
Great. JD Mendez.
Sorry about that. I just joined. I'm JD Mendez. I assume we're doing introductions.
Yeah, just a quick introduction.
I'm JD Mendez. I run the 3D printing lab at IUPUC. Yeah, and I'm also the division head for the Division of Science.
Great. Perfect. Catherine Armstrong.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm here representing the Columbus Area Arts Council. I'm definitely interested from the arts and creativity side and supporting artists and that work here in Columbus. I'm actually taking our call from a new co-working space called The Workshop in Columbus. And the Arts Council is piloting a project here with a new Studio 207. So interested in how we might loop in some of our visiting artists and some of the outreach and education to this conversation.
Great, thank you. Kathy Oren?
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Kathy Oren. I'm with the Community Education Coalition. We work on education and workforce alignment strategies in Southeast Indiana. We take care of the Columbus Learning Center and the Advanced Manufacturing Center. And I'm interested in how we can leverage a makerspace in service to students, whether it be K-12 students, college students on our Air Park Columbus College campus, and adult education. So
great.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you, Kathy. Kylie.
Hi, all. I'm Kylie Abrams. I'm the ecosystem manager for Velocities, and we're happy to get involved because we literally work to accelerate innovation and entrepreneurship in Columbus and Bloomington. So yeah, happy to help be on this call.
Good to have you. Lee Summers.
Yeah, hi. Lee Summers. I'm an engineer at Cummins right now. Moved here about 3 years ago, and I was appalled that there wasn't already a makerspace in a community like this. So really excited to be part of maybe growing that and have kids that would love the opportunity to participate. And just a hobbyist with way too many hobbies, working on stuff like this. So looking for, the opportunity to do that in a makerspace.
Lee, I'm already a fan. All right.
Thanks.
So, I'm your biggest fan on the phone call already. So that's perfect. Matt Farrell.
Hi, Matt Farrell from Purdue Polytechnic Columbus here. We're interested in this because this is what we do, and we like to help with that.
Great. Micah. I think I saw Micah.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm a Cummins engineer and one of the folks who helped start the local rock climbing gym in Columbus. So interested in entrepreneurship. So happy to be here.
Great, thank you. Michael Baker. If you're talking, you might be on mute. Okay, we'll come back to Michael. Quinn, is it Angrick?
Sure enough. I'm a design engineer at Toyota Material Handling. I'm especially interested both from the hobby side, stretching my engineering acumen outside of just the work environment, but then also I have 3 soon to be 4 children that I would love to be able to introduce to some of this kind of workspace.
Great. And Sam Geckler.
Hi, I'm Sam Geckler. I'm the president of Columbus Robotics. I represent a competitive robotics team in the basically 7th through 12th grade. That includes about 50 students currently. We basically operate a makerspace for our own purposes off of 7th Street in the Reeves Center. And I'd like to, basically I bring the next generation of innovators into the forum here. But I'd also love to leverage all of the inspiration that I'm hearing here as mentors for these students as well, because the students are going to represent where this is all headed eventually.
Great, it's good to have you, Sam. Thanks for the last, I kind of got Sam at the last minute, so I appreciate you being here, Sam. I think Brian Rushton, I don't think I got you on the first round, did I?
Yep, too many Brians.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Brian Rushton with LHP, longtime user beneficiary of the Air Park campus. So obviously now even with LHP, so excited to see how we can continue to improve it.
And I think that's everybody. I have an open mic. Anybody, who'd I miss? I know Mike Baker, Michael, we didn't get back to you. I don't know if you're back online.
Yeah, can you hear me now, Stephen?
Oh, we can. There you go.
All right. I'm Michael Baker. I'm with Toyota Material Handling as well. Several guys here. And I was at the event to launch the Bloomington site and thought it would be interesting to have one in Columbus as well. So just here to see what part I can play in it.
Perfect. Who'd I miss? I got everybody.
Oh, Roger Lee.
Oh, well, dang. Go on it, Roger. That's right. We talked to you, but we didn't give you a chance to introduce yourself. Go ahead, Roger. I'm sorry.
Roger Lee. I work with Kier Marbach. I'm a huge fan of toys. Watched a lot of BattleBots growing up, so this is a lot of fun.
Great. Thanks, Roger. Again, apologies, man. I'm sorry. Anybody else that I missed? Okay, perfect. Well, I'll tell you what, this is like this is like the who's who of makers in Columbus. So this is really a good group of people. I'm so thankful for all of you for joining. And this looks like the group that can get this done. So let me go ahead and start sharing some information. You should be able to see my screen again. So I think we all know, a lot of us know what makerspaces are. I do want to this isn't going to be one of those slides where I'm just going to like kill you with a bunch of slides with words, but I did want to highlight some things. I grabbed this just from the makerspaces.com. What is a makerspace? The things I love about this are separate. It's a separate public or private facility. We're going to talk about that. There are a lot of different ways to manage and operate a makerspace. It's for kids, it's for adults, it's for entrepreneurs. The only thing we don't have really covered here are kids, although a few of us probably act like kids as adults. So we may even have that covered. And it includes, a variety of equipment such as 3D printers, laser cutters, CNC machinery, soldering irons, which is one of my favorites, and sewing machines all the way up to the arts. And then you can even add to that, I'm sure. And then maker spaces are also fostering entrepreneurship. We've heard from a lot of entrepreneurs today. They're incubators and they're accelerators, and they're used for business startups. So we haven't specified what a makerspace would be for our community, but I want you just to be thinking about all those big words and what might it mean for our community. So there's a lot of playbooks for how you can create one. This is just one. I will tell you, I kind of read through this before this meeting. I actually have the copy right here in front of me, going through it, trying to remind myself. We've been at this for many years, trying to figure and find a space to create a makerspace for our community. And we just got this really interesting opportunity. So I'm really excited I got to dive back into the book and really talk about the things that we need to create a makerspace. And those things are, you need people, you need space, you need tools, and you need some kind of administration to make this thing operational. Now, the great thing is you all are here. We've got 31 people here who evidently have an interest in a makerspace. Now, depending on what your level of interest is, we'll specify your level of engagement. Hopefully you're here to help us get this thing started, get it operational, get it running. The next thing we need is space. We may or may not have that space. We think we might have some space that we're going to share with you today. It is not a definite, though. I just want to make sure that we set expectations for everything. We're going to hear from Brian here in just a minute, but it is a very possible, it's a strong possibility. The things that we're not going to talk about today are tools and administration. That comes way down the road. Those are the things we don't need to get into the weeds right now with. We really want to talk about who can we mobilize to make this thing happen? And then can we use space? Is that space going to be available? So what is the space? So I think all of you are familiar with the airport, hopefully. Well, there's a couple of buildings right in where that arrow is. If we blow that up, they kind of look like this. Brian's going to spend more time talking about it, but these were spaces, 2 buildings, and it's both buildings. It's the one at the top and the bottom here, the north and south. Both those buildings are coming together as a potential opportunity. Cummins has been using these buildings for engine testing, and they're being vacated. And Brian will give us an update. They may be vacated now, but they're really close to being empty. It looks like this on the outside if you've not seen them. So if you start wrapping your mind around a makerspace, this is really a great opportunity. These are some great buildings. You've got an opportunity to maybe one thing on one side, one thing on another. You've got all this outdoor space. You've got a courtyard between them. It can be something really unique, especially with it located at the airport and around our other educational partners. So these are some pictures I took when I had a tour of the facility. You'll see several folks in here that are on the call today, as a matter of fact. So it includes some outdoor space up on the left that's available. It also includes this shop space or dirty space. It's got several rooms. It could really serve as classroom or instructional space, which most maker spaces, you want to have at least that small component of education, because you do need to teach people how to make, but also need to be able to teach them how to use equipment and how to do it safely, right? The other thing it includes is some office space, which is great for administration if we needed to administer the site. Or maybe we want to do some small co-working as well in that space. So what we really have here is this really unique building that has this mixed use that can be a lot of things to a lot of different people, but could also create something really unique for our community. So at this point, though, I'm going to ask Brian if he wouldn't mind kind of coming on the microphone and talking a little bit about the building and how we got here. Brian?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Combs. So it's been a couple of months ago now. Cummins had notified us that they were going to be getting out of these buildings. So these buildings have been owned by the airport and built sometime, I believe, in the 50s and 60s. So quite an old facility, but over the course of the last few decades now, Cummins has leased them and again, done testing on different engines. A couple of months ago, we were notified that they were going to be vacating those buildings at the end of their lease. Their lease is not up for several more months. So we do have some opportunity. On my first walkthrough of the buildings and the way they looked on the inside, we immediately said to ourselves, myself and a few members of my team, that this could be a really good opportunity for the makerspace that we've all talked about. So I know I've talked with Dr. Combs and Cindy Fry about this for years now, about finding a location here on the property, but walking through them really gave us another eye-opening experience to the opportunity here. So right now Cummins is going through, and we've identified several things for them to leave and take and fix in the buildings, but they're going through and cleaning out the buildings as it is. but again, I believe we know, and again, a number of higher ed partners I've heard from in the past that need that dirty lab space or dirty space to be able to create for students. They're going to leave some air, some electric, and pretty much taking everything else out. So it's going to be a blank canvas for us when we get in there at some point in the future. But that's what it is for now. And again, we've got the airport board is interested in listening to the proposals as we come about. But I think that's it.
Great. Thank you, Brian. And we'll come back and we'll probably have questions that I'm sure will be directed your way, but we'll come back to that here in just a little bit. We'll keep rolling on. So really appreciate that update. The other thing that I wanted to do is spend a little bit of time for those of you who may not be as familiar. Jamie mentioned that he was a member of Level 1. Level 1 was a makerspace that Cindy and I and a group from our community went and visited. Oh gosh, Cindy, what was that, 3 or 4 years ago now? Has it been that long?
Yes, it has. Yes.
So that just tells you how long we've been trying to get this thing done and trying to do something. So Jamie, I really, you know that I really appreciate Level 1 and what they do. Could you talk a little bit about Level 1, their makerspace down there, and a little bit about what makes them unique, and really what drew you to Level 1? Because you're not, I don't think you were a founding member, but you were somebody from the community came in and got really engaged with Level 1.
Yeah, I mean, probably like most folks, it's idea or access to really cool toys that aren't really feasible to get on your own, and then the people that you run into. Because I mean, I got in, I was really interested in basically using a laser cutter and some stuff like that, but ended up making a lot of friends and got involved in like a high altitude balloon transatlantic attempt and stuff. I would have never even thought to even, I know that's the access to neat stuff and access to neat people, and ended up making some great friendships and stuff. That's the gist of it, really.
So Level 1, I have the link up here. You definitely want to check out their site. But one of the things also, you remember early on in the presentation, I mentioned the playbook. Well, Level 1 actually has the playbook online. They have a wiki that just describes and documents everything. So that's kind of your homework before we get together again, and we'll figure what that's going to look like. But I would encourage you to go look at their website, look at the activities. They are, Jamie, are they actually open to their members 24/7? Is that the way they work?
Right. I'm still on the mailing list and stuff. When I moved up here, I'm basically not officially a member anymore. But yeah, if you're like a dues paying member, you get like an RFID card or physical key, and you have 24/7 access to the space.
Okay. So makerspaces take a lot of different models, and that's what we're going to have to decide as a community. What is our model going to look like? So thank you, Jamie. I really appreciate you taking a little bit of time and talking about that. I want to come back now, and these are remember I asked you each to list a question. What would make your time valuable today? So I captured all of those questions. There were a lot of duplicates, which I was glad to see. But really what I want to do is I do want to kind of go through each of these and just do a quick summary of an answer for you so that you feel like you got your time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what it's going to take to get this work done. So first of all, what's the level of interest? I think we've already answered that. There's strong level of interest. I will tell you that there's probably just as many folks who couldn't make this meeting today because just it didn't work out in time. So we have 32 folks though that logged on to a random meeting, and I put up barriers for you because I even made you have to sign into Zoom to do this. So you all know the technology and you figure out your way in here. So that's good. Who's in charge? It's not me. I'm just going to tell you right now, I am not in charge. I just am putting this together. I'm hopeful that one of you will be in charge of this or help us, or we'll have an executive committee or something, and we'll talk about that. But I've just agreed to help Cindy and Brian kind of put this group together, mainly because I'm passionate about this. As Cindy will tell you, I've wanted a makerspace in this community, but I am not in charge. So I'm not under the delusion that I'm in charge, and don't really want to be in charge. I've got a building I need to get built first, and then, but I do hope to participate with the group that helps put this together. Who in the community, who in the community is this group meant to serve? I think that's open, right? That should be, I'd love to say everybody. It's meant to serve everybody in our community. That's kind of my goal for this site. How can I help? We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. I love this question. How might we be able to see this initiative coalesce multiple concurrent streams around local STEM? And that's where we have educators here. We have people like Sam here who can actually help us put that together with the robotics team. So I think we've got some great alignment there with that. What is the planned equipment potential timeline? You know, the timeline is interesting. Brian, is there a real timeline for when we have to have something set or to the board? Because they actually own the building right now, right?
Right, they do. They've not made any kind of formal decisions on when they'd like to move forward with something. We know that we have Cummins under lease until the end of June. So we still have, you know, again, several months for us to make some decisions. But I believe that the board would like to understand and have a plan prior to that point, clearly with the goal of leasing it to something.
And I think that's the other goal. We've talked about this. We would like for this to be funded by the members, but that's not to say that we might not seek community sponsorships. For instance, Ivy Tech as a college might pay a corporate membership of a certain fee annually to help offset some of the costs. So we're hoping it's both a public and private kind of get together to make this thing happen. There was a question about whether there will be a gallery. Could be, you know, again, that's where we are with this. We're in such planning that we haven't really decided what that's going to look like. What is expected of the members or users? Again, that's something that we're still going to be working on. But I think what's expected of the members is a use of the space, creativity, sharing what they're doing, making this a highlight for our community and showing other communities what we have going on in Columbus. I think that's important. What does the membership cost? We have no idea. Jamie, what was the cost at level 1?
Let's see, I think it was $50 a month.
Okay. And then we had somebody else who, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Who was our other Makerspace from St. Louis?
Hey, that's me. My name's Danny Motes.
Yeah.
We got it through our college. The college was a partner in opening it.
Great. So you didn't have to pay a fee as long as you were a student?
Correct.
Okay. So that's an interesting model. We hadn't talked about that or thought about that. That's good. So we don't know what's the model framework for engaging makers. We do need to work through that. I'm hopeful that it's a grassroots. Makers just come out of their basements, come out of their garages, and they just want to come and be in this space. I know that sounds maybe intuitive right now, especially given COVID, but we're planning for this thing outside of COVID, right? So we've got some time to do this, which COVID is probably a good time to do this. Cost of membership, we talk, let's see, alternating shop technicians who bring with them skills and experience. In other words, will there be those people? Makers tend to support other makers is the way I understand Makerspace is working. So that's how that would happen. What does the timeline look like? We talked about that. Will there be a formal shop? Well, we have the facilities so that there can be a formal shop that will have steel and wood, but there should also be a space in there for lighter things like, as I said, sewing machine, soldering, crafting, those types of things. So that's going to be available. How do we get the most value for the most people with this potential initiative? That's a good question. I think the return on investment is really on you and what do you put in? I liken a Makerspace to a gym membership. You know, you can pay in January and say, this is my thing for the next year, and you can pay for the first month, or you can pay all year and never go again. We don't want that. We want people who are paying to be engaged so that everybody does get the most out of their money. What can I get? What can I do to help get things moving? Well, you've started, you're here, and we're going to talk about the next step here in just a minute. Is this a communal movement based on an existing model? Now, this is, like everything else in Columbus, this is, I'm sure it's going to be based on some models, but it's really going to be our model and how we do it. How can I make it happen? We'll talk about that. I would like to know if this is actually moving forward. I love that. That's the skeptic in the group. The skeptic in the group really wants to know if this is moving forward. Yes, we're hopefully moving forward on this. Putting hopefully in there, I know didn't help you, but we're going to get there. How can I make this happen? Okay, we're talking about that. I would like to know if this is actually moving forward. What orientation training will be available? I would encourage you on that one to look at the level 1 wiki. They have a really good process for how they prepare people. You can't just walk into a Makerspace and start using things. You have to get a check off. You have to get training. You have to have safety. So there is a process for that. Will members bring their own tools? Probably, but I don't know that you're going to leave them there. That'd be something. It's not like a co-op. We'll probably need to talk about that. Volunteering opportunities, facilities information. We've talked a little bit about that. Will studio space be available? Again, kind of going with that gallery versus studio. I'm sure some things we can make that happen. And then what's the scope of the project and the ways to get involved? So having said that, here's what we need to do. We know we've got people interested. We know we have the space. You saw the questions asked. What we really want to do now is figure out what our next steps are as a community. So you've heard a lot. Now I want to be quiet because that's 30 minutes of me rambling on. What other questions did we miss in the large list of questions? What do you have before we start talking about next steps? Anything from anybody?
Yes, I have a question. This is David
Okay.
Boslin.
Hey, David.
Hey. So where or how might we get the funding to purchase larger tools?
So the tools part generally comes from creating a 501c3 out of your Makerspace organization. So it would be become a nonprofit. So which means we can also apply for grants. I'm also hopeful that some of our industry partners will provide some of those things as sponsorships, is what I'm looking at. We probably have even some industries out there who have older equipment that they can donate. We have potential members who should be able to donate equipment. So it all just kind of comes. I know level one, what's interesting is they also have just a big room where people dump things off that maybe others can use, equipment that others can use, or not just equipment, but tools that others can use. So I think we'll have to work on that, David. It's a great question. I don't think we know exactly yet, but I think we can get there. And then I'm not sure, Jamie, did membership ever allow for the purchasing of tools or equipment?
Yeah, I mean, so like all the like the dues and stuff kind of go into the big, to the big bucket or whatever. And so part of the meetings or some things we'd have on our threads would be like if someone thought that there was a need for something, they could basically bring that up, and then it would get voted on. And if it passed, whatever the criteria was based on the membership size at that time, then it would get purchased.
Okay. Does
Stephen,
that help, David? Oh, Cindy, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that I remember, and it's been 5 years, I just checked my photos.
Wow.
One of the things that I remember and thought was so interesting was how much the users influence what kinds of tools and programming goes on in the space. And at level one, they had a big group of rocket makers. And it was interesting because they had a sewing machine, and the sewing machine was because they could not buy parachutes for the size they needed for the rocket. So the rocket group was also sewing parachutes. So, they came together, as Jamie was saying, and voted on, what the group wanted in the space, and the sewing machine was a big need. So I guess what I'm getting at is there's really, there is a playbook, but there's also this room for the group sort of forming what it is they care about, what kinds of tools they'd like to see in the space.
Okay, so let's talk about any other quick questions about what we've covered so far. Okay, so now what we need to decide, how do we move forward with the next step? What we really need is a core of individuals who are interested in kind of driving the train and working on developing a business plan that Brian can present to the board. Is that right, Brian? You really need a business model or a plan to present to the board?
Yeah, I think the board would like to see a business plan or concept of what it is that we'd like to do in that space. Again, the airport board, the airport is a community asset. We're trying to look at it as a community asset, but at the same time, I guess just for everyone else's knowledge on the call, the Columbus Airport, while we are a member of the city, we're a municipality, we're actually a self-sufficient entity of the city. So we don't take any property tax dollars to operate the airport whatsoever. And that's the airport with all 2,800 acres of property that we own and operate. And that includes 25 different buildings and such. So these are just two of the buildings of all of the 2,800 acres of property that we own. So we're trying to figure out how to make it a good community asset, but at the same time, the airport board still looks at it as a funding mechanism.
And how detailed would that need to be for a first pass, Brian?
Well, I don't think it needs to be detailed, as a first pass. It's just whether or not this is a concept that we all feel could move forward. I mean, I think I'm as excited about it as anyone else. I had an opportunity to go to Indy and look at a couple of maker spaces and co-working spaces in Indy, and some like 16 Tech that's just being built, and got to see exactly how they're building their makerspace. So I'm as excited as the rest of you for the opportunity to have this in Columbus.
Hey, Stephen, this is Mary Fredon. First of all,
Hi, Mary.
this is great that you brought everybody together. And I'm kind of looking at Cindy, if I can find her. The folks at SCORE have been extraordinarily generous to the city when we've been talking about starting kind of new business markets, particularly around our Evolution, our big training facility. This might be a great place to plug them in to help with the business plan. And they might get really excited about doing something to this level. I don't know, Cindy, how they would feel, but I think it would really be beneficial because in order to present to the community, I think having a really solid business plan where we can see that it's after the initial phases isn't going to be a drain on the community. In fact, it's going to bring a lot back to the community would be a huge benefit.
It's a great idea, Mary.
It is. That's a really great idea. And in talking about that, Mary, one of the other things that Cindy and I have also talked about is I think most people know that Cindy has co-working space at the chamber. We have talked about whether that shouldn't somehow be combined with this new makerspace. We've also, as you know, we have several from Velocities here. Kylie and Cy are here. We've talked about should this be the place where they kind of hang out too with new and local entrepreneurs to try and build that piece, right? I think many of you are probably familiar with the mill over in Bloomington. Columbus needs their own version of that. You know, we laughingly refer to this concept as our mini mill. We would never use that for branding because I'm sure they would not appreciate that. Plus, that's not Columbus's deal, right? That's not our spin on it. But in concept, kind of the mini mill concept is something we're thinking about, where it becomes a place where maybe we also have a podcast booth where people can come and use that space for podcasting. We have visual communications equipment, but what does that look like for Columbus? So in thinking about all those things, you know, we do need a group, and I don't know how large it is, that's up for discussion, but we need probably 6, 7, 8 people who really want to take this on as kind of an executive board for now to help drive this forward, maybe work with a SCORE volunteer that Cindy can help us with, work with Brian to figure that out. So I think what we're doing is we're looking for volunteers right now. And again, as I said, I'm not sure I'm the person to be able to do that and give it the attention it needs because of other projects. I do hope to be involved with the Makerspace and be a member. And I actually believe the college will be a member as we go forward. But who has interest in helping us move this forward? I think let's just throw it out there. That's the ask.
I'm happy to help with the business plan and to help work with SCORE on that.
That's great, John. Okay, I'm writing your name down, John. You sure?
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sure.
It's there.
I have some tools that I think will help too. So
I bet you do, sir.
That's wonderful, John.
Velocities as a whole. So both Kylie and I'm volunteering here since my wife says I volunteer for too much stuff already.
So let me get this straight. You're volunteering Kylie, but you're outside. Is that what I just heard?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're in as a unit.
I'm trying to protect you, Kylie. I'm not sure where he was going with that, but you know.
Yeah, I wanted to volunteer myself, but I didn't want to volunteer Cy, so I'm glad Cy it all worked out.
Thank you, Cy.
This is Roger Lee. I'll as part of the Velocities cohort, I'm helping Kylie and Cy.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Who else has an interest in this, forming this initial kind of executive committee to help us get this thing forward?
And go ahead and write me down, Steve.
Brian is really engaged. I think your boss needs to give you a raise. I'm just going to say that publicly
Hey,
right now, Brian. Okay.
Too bad he's not listening in.
I think he's somewhere on here.
Yeah, Stephen, this is Michael Baker. I'd be interested as well.
Hey, great. Thanks, Michael. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who else? That's a really great starting group. I appreciate it. Brian Simpson, did you raise your finger?
Yes.
You know, you raise a finger. It's a lot like an auction. You know, I'm going to point on you.
That was what it was intended to be.
All right. Excellent.
Stephen, I'm happy to help you as well.
Is that Bob?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Bob.
You can count us in on that as well.
Who is that? Oh, Matt?
Phil.
And that would be you specifically, right, Matt?
Yes.
Okay.
What an awesome team.
That's a really good team.
I will try, Stephen.
What's that? You're going to do it, Antonina?
I will try. I will do my best.
You are rocking. And Antonina, you have me as backup if you need it. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else want to be a part of that group? Okay, we have, let me recap. This is an amazing group. This is like a really like superhero group. I should give you all superhero names, but I won't go through that right now. Well, although Inspector Gadget would work for John Myers, that's good. John Myers, Kylie Abrams, Simon Young, Roger Lee, Brian Rushton, Michael Baker, Brian Simpson, Bob Shefstall, Matt Farrell, and Antonina Reese. Who did I miss? Okay. So we've got kind of a guiding team. I guess really what we would, if I'm going to use the Columbus vernacular, right, Kathy Orrin, this would be our guiding team, right? So, and what that means to the guiding team is the work isn't all yours. What it means is that as you do your work, there's going to be situations where you're going to need working teams or other teams to help you get this thing put together. And so that's where this other group would come in. So what I would like for the rest of you to do is if you want to stay connected with the guiding team and their work and want to be involved, if you would, how can we do this? I think you all have my email address. Just let me know that you have a continued interest in moving forward, and we can count on you to reach out and say, hey, can you help us with this or that you're a part of this larger team that's helping us get this thing together. I've captured all of your addresses, and if you give me a little yes that you're interested, let me go ahead and put my email address in here again.
Steve, while you're typing, this is Sam Geckler, and I volunteered to draft a bunch of students to help out where my
Sam will draft students. Okay, I like that.
They could potentially have a role to play.
I think so too. I think we want their voice. I think that's going to be so important to have their voice in this as well. So if you would send me an email, let me know that you're still interested in this initiative going forward. In the Google Sheet I've created with all your names, I'll just put a little check, or I'll remove you from the mailing list. Basically, it's the mailing list. If you want to continue to be included in the mailing list, do that. If you are here by an invite and I don't have your contact information, please email that to me as well, and I will update it. Also, for the guiding team, you guys will need to get together and kind of decide what your next steps are and how you want to proceed. I am happy to participate in that meeting as well and show you the materials I've collected and where that is. Can share that. I've got all of the email addresses for everybody. This slide presentation, which by the way, I am going to share this slide presentation with you also in the chat room if you want to grab that. And you can take a look at that building in a little closer view. So looking at our original questions, I think we have a process. We have a guiding team. What last questions do we have? Because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And again, I really appreciate that y'all popped in on a Monday afternoon to have this conversation. Anything else we can do?
Dr. Combs, this is Brian. I would say that if the guiding team needs to see the space, the interior of the space, to get an idea, again, as we start working through the concepts of all of the different ideas of what we could do inside of the space. There is some finished space, so it could be, office space or co-working space. Again, I know we already have some of that here in the communities from a co-working standpoint, but just if you'd like to see if we met at the,
oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, if you'd like to see the interior of it, maybe include me in on some of those emails, and I'd be happy to work with you on it.
If after the tour, the guiding team wanted to meet, could we meet in the basement and socially distance in the airport?
Yeah, I believe as long as we keep it less than 50, right? So yeah. It'll be fine.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can do that. How about this? What if, so I think we have that. Those of you that have volunteered for the guiding team, can you hang on for just a few minutes? And then maybe we can talk about the next time to get together. Does that work?
Actually, can Brian Payne hang out also after the call?
Brian, can you hang for a few minutes? Okay. And what we will do for the rest of you is we'll get you an update. And again, send me your email if you want to stay on the list, and let me know. Any last good questions for the good of the group? Okay. Well, I am super excited by the turnout. This was amazing that we had 31. We had about 48 people who showed initial interest. This recording I will share somehow, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that now. Probably maybe YouTube. I'll probably pop that on my YouTube channel, the Ivy Tech one, and we'll share that so that you can share it and other people can watch. So appreciate your time, and guiding team, if you'll hang on. Everybody else, if you have any questions, you can continue to reach out to me until then. So thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Stephen. Really appreciate it.
Well done. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.